What's going on, everyone? So now that Pascal Siakam has officially been traded to the Indiana Pacers, one player that is very likely many teams going to shift focus on is Dejounte Murray. I really do expect Dejounte Murray to kind of be looked at. Obviously, teams like the Lakers are heavily pursuing him. There have been rumors of teams like the Miami Heat potentially being interested. The Sixers have been supposedly interested. And look, any team that could use kind of like a playmaker, kind of that, maybe that third guy, right? Because that's the question. Like, where is Dejounte Murray as far as like a championship caliber team? He's not the first player, in my opinion. He's not the best player on a championship team, but as like a second or third guy, especially a third guy, then yes, I definitely think he could be. And maybe as your second guy, depending on who that first guy is, maybe you could kind of get there. Look, this is a guy that, a couple years ago was an all defensive guy. He was on the all defensive team as a point guard. He was an all-star. It's a guy that can go get you 20 on any given night, put the ball in the hoop. He's gotten more comfortable playing off ball. He's still not great, but this is a guy that's at least 25-5, right? He's a guy that can go put the ball in the hoop, make plays for others, rebound, be a point of attack defender, good athleticism. He does have his cons, though, right? Again, playing off ball. Although he's shooting well this season, he is a career 34% three-point shooter, right? He's shooting 40% this season, but there are concerns about that. Also, finishing around the rim. He has not been very good his entire career, really, but especially this year, in particular this year, he's just not been very good at finishing around the rim. But he has been a much better difficulty shot maker and pull-up shooter as well. So he's kind of changed his game in a lot of ways, right? He's became a better shooter, but he still has his flaws and his issues. And then defensively, he's been just terrible defensively. But how much of that is he's on the Atlanta Hawks and, it's him and Trae Young and, he doesn't really, it's not like he's surrounded by a bunch of great defensive players where he kind of get back to that in the right situation. But one team that is rumored and reported to be interested in Dejounte Murray, and Dejounte Murray has expressed that he would be interested in that, is the San Antonio Spurs, right? Dejounte Murray, that's where he came from to Atlanta. Atlanta went and traded for Dejounte Murray. It would be kind of funny if Dejounte Murray ended up getting traded back to the Spurs, because that's where Dejounte Murray was all defensive guy, one of the top up-and-coming point guards in the league. He was a guy that many people thought, hey, this guy could be a real cornerstone, real building block. And then San Antonio decided, hey, we're going to hit the reset button. We're going to hit the rebuild button. Let's trade Dejounte Murray. They got back a bunch of draft picks and assets, right? And I've seen people throw out like, well, Atlanta could just, call and say, hey, we want all of our picks back. Look, I don't think that's going to happen, right? Like, you made your bed, now you got to lay in it, right? But I could see the Spurs absolutely going and trading for Dejounte Murray, right? One of the things that the San Antonio Spurs need desperately is a point guard and playmaker. And I mean desperately, right? Their best player is Victor Wembanyama by far. And this dude is Alien is a great example. This guy is unbelievable. Problem is like he is your best player, and there are times where it's like he might as well not even be on the court because nobody goes to him. And they've kind of done this like weird thing where like Jeremy Zohan has like kind of been the playmaker, and they're kind of running him as like the point forward at times. And the issue is like, Keldon Johnson, he's out here looking for his shot. Now you have Vassell, who's out there trying to find his shot, and no one's really looking to go get Victor Wembanyama, who is your best player, their shot. Question is like, what do you give up, right? I believe it's Keldon Johnson has the like poison pill if he's traded, so I don't think that he ends up getting traded, but maybe you put something together, because at some point you're going to have to get rid of either Johnson or Vassell. It's just what's more likely than not going to have to happen. I just don't think that if you're building a proper team around Victor Wembanyama, you have room for both of those guys, right? And they need to go get a legit just guy that can play secondary alongside Victor, look to get him the basketball, and also help kind of alleviate some of the burden in the same breath, right? Look, Trey Jones, he's done a serviceable job. He's been solid in spots, right? And he's had his moments and things like that, but he's more of a backup point guard, right? He's a guy that I think, if you were to go get a Dejounte Murray and you had Jones kind of step in and he's the backup to Dejounte, then I think you're in good shape, right? But now you got that real running mate, you got that co-star. If he can get back to being that all defensive point guard, now the Spurs could really be cooking. The problem is in a couple things. So, one, would the Spurs really go and try to trade for him this season? And the reason I even mention that is they are 7-33 on the year. They have the technically second worst record in the league. The Detroit Pistons are 4-37, so they have the worst record. But the Wizards are 7-32, so the Spurs have one more loss than the Wizards. So they're gonna get a pretty good draft pick. If you go and trade for Dejounte Murray, then your chances of not getting a top 3 pick is gonna get very heavy. Because Dejounte Murray, in Atlanta, he doesn't get the opportunity to shine, right? Trae Young is just so high usage, so on ball, right? Dejounte Murray going to the Spurs, he's going to have the ball in his hands probably like every possession, right? Because he's going to be the one going and setting up Victor and getting his own shot and just kind of being that 1-2 punch for the Spurs. And it's going to translate to a lot more wins than what they currently are. I'm not saying that, Dejounte Murray comes in and the Spurs are a contender or anything like that. No. But they'll at least probably double their win total than what they are. Like, if San Antonio had Dejounte Murray to start the season, the Spurs would probably have around at least 14. I wouldn't even be surprised if they have as many wins as Atlanta does, right? Where it's Atlanta's 17-23. I wouldn't be surprised if the Spurs are like 17-23, right? If they had Dejounte Murray. Because, again, Dejounte Murray would get to go back to his natural position. If he was shooting the way that he is this year, I think that would help. I think he would kind of he'd put everybody back in their place. Everybody back in their order, right? It would also give them another go-to clutch guy who can kind of help close games down the stretch. The Spurs have been in several games in which they could have won, but weren't able to close down the stretch. So I really like the idea of Dejounte Murray on the Spurs. I do. I think he makes a lot of sense. Get you that veteran guy. Get you a guy that's familiar. Get you a guy that's familiar with Pop. He's talked about Pop, basically being a father figure and, is credits Pop for his success and everything like that and how he'd welcome that and all that stuff, right? Now, how much of that is just kind of the company man answer? How much of that is the real deal? I definitely think that there is that. I don't think he just said that just to say that stuff, right? The kind things he was saying about Spurs and Pop and stuff. Now, he did have some things to say, when he first got traded, but, most people do, right? You're upset. You thought you were going to be there. Now you're getting traded to Atlanta. It's like, how am I going to fit next to Trae Young, right? Like, it's just, I get the frustrations, right? But, you let bygones be bygones. You bring him in, right? Dejounte Murray isn't 32 or even 30. He's still young enough to where, he could be part of this building block, right? He's 27 years old. Let's say it takes you 2 to 3 years to really build a real contender around those two, him and Victor. Now he's 30. He's in his prime. Victor, at that point, might be the best player in the league. And you got this 1-2 punch, and you're just kind of filling in the gaps around those two. I think that is the approach in which the Spurs should take. I do like the idea of Dejounte Murray. I do think he makes a lot of sense. I think he would be much better. It would be kind of funny that, they go and trade Dejounte Murray to go land Victor Wembanyama, and then the one thing they need is Dejounte Murray, right? You go and you trade Dejounte Murray only to end up needing him badly. But if San Antonio still had Dejounte Murray, they wouldn't have landed Victor Wembanyama. So it worked out. Now it'd just be funny if you could end up going and kind of rectifying that by getting him back, especially for less. Okay, so they got basically what? They got 4 firsts, right? If you could trade 2 to get Murray back, then you basically got 2 free firsts. To me, that's a home run, right? That would be great. It would be hilarious. Would Atlanta even do that though? Right? But I don't know. I genuinely like the idea of Dejounte Murray and Victor Wembanyama. I think Dejounte Murray, just all of the things that you could do with him, and the pick and rolls, the pick and pops, him just getting Victor the ball in his spots and where he likes it, developing that repertoire, developing that chemistry, that relationship. I just think there's a lot of value in Dejounte Murray, and I think he could make a real impact on the Spurs team. I think San Antonio would be as good as Atlanta is right now with Dejounte Murray and Victor Wembanyama, genuinely. Right? So, again, they've won 7 games. I think Dejounte Murray in his natural role, especially if he can get back to that all-star caliber along Pop, right, then definitely I think that they would be very good. If he's kind of what he is in Atlanta, look, he definitely would. The Spurs would definitely be better, but the problem is just, again, is rim finishing, playing off ball at times, although I think that'd be rectified because he'd get to play on. Look, I think he would just be naturally better because he'd actually get to play the point guard. When he does get to play the point guard, he's actually one of the best at it. He's very good, very talented in that point guard role. He just doesn't get to do it a lot with Atlanta. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you like the idea of Dejounte Murray with the Spurs? Do you think, no, he's going to go elsewhere? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.